Hi students, how you all doing? Welcome back to the channel. I know I'm posting a video after a long gap. I had my reasons, but this video has been requested by many students and the newest subscriber of my channel, Koel Maiti. Welcome Koel to the channel. So your request is granted over here. So today we'll be learning about branch chain amino acid, right? BCAA, and how they're metabolized and what are the disorder that we need to study in case their metabolism is hampered, right? So I will be telling you exactly what you need. If you are going through any standard textbook, there are a lot of information which you basically do not need to remember, right? In this channel we always focus what you should not read, right? Because if you start reading everything, you will have to study biochemistry for first year only, because there will be no timing left for physiology and anatomy. Anyway, but of course I'll be focusing on the must know area as usual. So first of all, what are the branch chain amino acid? I have told you during the protein amino acid nomenclature, that is GAVLI is the nomenclature for aliphatic amino acid that consists of glycine, alanine, valine, leucine and isoleucine. The last three comprises of branched chain amino acid because they are aliphatic chain, have a branch. Mind it, all three of these branch chain amino acids are essential amino acids. So 20 amino acids are essential. You need to know their name. You can, if you are being asked to recall the name of the essential amino acid, you can tell about them, right? But I would suggest please mention phenylalanine. If examiner asks you this one question, name one essential amino acid, it is almost taken for granted that there will be 3-4 more questions to follow. And answering phenylalanine will invite many more questions from tyrosine, specialist product from tyrosine. Even if you answer tryptophan, serotonin, melatonin, all those areas are good and scoring. Still, if you are confident enough, you can answer branch chain amino acid, and then you will be asked few more questions about which today we will be discussing, right? So these are essential amino acid, and as I have told you during nutritional classification of amino acid, what are the glucogenic and what are the ketogenic amino acid. I told you to remember L, that is leucine, lysine, both of them are purely ketogenic, right? I have also mentioned PIT, T or tip or pit, the way you remember phenylalanine, isoleucine, and what are the other two, right? Tyrosine and tryptophan, fine. So they are both glucogenic and ketogenic. So see, from this VLI, this leucine is purely ketogenic, isoleucine is both glucogenic and ketogenic, and valine is purely glucogenic. This you need to remember, students, right? So what are the metabolic fate of what amino acids, especially these three, right? Now, what are the importance of these branch chain amino acid? Why do we study them as a group? Most importantly, because these amino acids serve as an alternate fuel source for brain, especially under starvation. You know, the main source of food for brain is glucose, glucose, glucose. But in extreme condition, when glucose is depleted, since they are both glucogenic and ketogenic, they can serve as a fuel source to produce glucose and ketone body that can serve as a fuel for brain, right? Because ketone bodies also play a role in supplying energy to the brain. Now, do you need to remember the reactions of all these amino acid? What happens one after another? First they undergo transamination, then decarboxylation, then dehydration. There are multiple steps, right? The answer is no, absolutely not. You do not need to remember all the reaction, right? Of course, the one where these amino acids are converted to keto acid, that is the transamination reaction. This is in general for all amino acid metabolism, right? All amino acids undergo transamination, where the amino acid will be converted to a keto acid, and another keto acid will be converted to amino acid, that is pyruvate to alpha ketoglutarate. That is the, you already know that transamination we have discussed in detail. So the first step, that is transamination reaction, is important, but you don't need to remember these names individually. Isovaleric acid, caproic acid and methyl valeric acid, you don't need to remember. What you need to remember, these three together are known as branch chain keto acids. This term, if you remember, it's enough. Okay, so branched chain amino acid will be converted to branched chain keto acid in the first reaction. Okay, next, what you don't need to remember, but still I'm telling you, they undergo oxidative decarboxylation with the help of coenzyme A and NAD plus, right? You don't need to remember this. But the next reaction, that is FAD dependent dehydrogenation, you need to remember. Why? I'm telling you, I'll tell you just after a moment. The most important thing that you need to remember is this transamination reaction, and the next important or not so important thing but you still need to remember is this step, FAD dependent dehydrogenation. Rest all you can jolly well skip. These are all individual reaction, you can skip. If it is given in a textbook, you don't need to remember it, right? Because there are much more important thing to remember, right? And what are these reactions basically doing? These reactions are producing the end product, that is the metabolic fate. I told you in case of valine it is glucogenic, in case of leucine it is ketogenic, and in case of isoleucine it is both glucogenic and ketogenic. These are all what is happening, and quite frankly you do not need to know how. If you just know that in the first step it is undergoing a transamination, right, where they are forming branch chain keto acid, and somewhere in between it is undergoing an FAD dependent dehydrogenation, and in the end product they are basically forming what are they are supposed to form, that is the end product, whether they are glucogenic or ketogenic, then you are good to go. This is the only part that you need to remember about this branched chain keto acid metabolism. But what is the most important thing that you need to remember? That is, what if it goes wrong, right? That is what we are here for. We are doctors and we are studying biochemistry to understand the diseases. Merely knowing the metabolism doesn't mean anything to us, right? So the disorder you already know and you've already guessed by now that happens in case of this branched chain metabolism problem is known as maple syrup urine disease, and this, my students, are very very important. I will mark it a 3-star right? Means you need to prepare a short note or a short question, or for MCQ, for oral, for viva, for card, for chart, anything will be, the clues will be provided to you, and you need to detect MSUD by looking at the clinical features, right? So what are the clinical features that you need to remember, right? See, the ones that are highlighted over here and you will find in all of your textbook are the ones that you need to remember, right? Again, I'm telling you, this is a short note based question. This will not come as an entire long question, right? It will come when you are in pediatrics. If you are giving a pediatric exam, MD pediatric exam, then all the inborn error of metabolism in babies, these happen in babies, right? They come in a lot more detail. Over there you need to diagnose and do all other things. Anyway, so what is the main problem here? The main pathology or the problem is deficient decarboxylation of branched chain keto acid, right? Now, I told you in the earlier slide that what you need to remember and what you don't need to remember. Now see, automatically I told you to remember two things on this slide, right? The first one, that is transamination, because amino acid will be formed to keto acid, right? And then this reaction, that is FAD dependent dehydrogenation. I told you this one you may not choose to remember from this slide, because this is the enzyme, that is branched chain keto acid decarboxylase. This is deficient in maple syrup urine disease. So I may be contradicting myself. You are thinking, you just told not to remember, and now you are telling us to remember. Well, I tried not to make the list overwhelming. Okay, so in case of, just remember, in case of maple syrup urine disease, the defect is in deficient decarboxylation of branched chain keto acid. Means what? In the first reaction, the branched chain amino acid will be converted to branched chain keto acid, but in eventuality, what was happening? Branched chain keto acid was getting ultimately converted to either glucose or ketone body, right? Depending on the what amino acid was source was that. But here The second step is deficient. So branched chain keto acid will accumulate in blood. And what is their fate? They will be excreted in urine. So branched chain keto acid excretion in urine, the term will be branched chain ketonuria. You know, ketone body in urine is ketonuria. Can you tell me what test is positive in ketonuria? Answer is Rothera's test, right? So you have guessed it very correctly. In maple syrup urine disease also, Rothera's test is positive. Can you name any other metabolic protein metabolism disorder where Rothera's test is positive? Yes, again the name lies in ketonuria, that is phenylketonuria. Okay. So in phenylketonuria and maple syrup urine disease, Rothera's test will be positive. So mind it, if you are having Rothera's test in practical, both of them can be asked. Examiner can enter into protein metabolism via Rothera's test. So please be mindful. Anyway, so this is the enzyme that we need to know, right? So what are the clinical finding? Clinical finding, you see, these are all inborn error of metabolism, right? It's not that till yesterday I was metabolizing all branched chain keto acid well and good, and now suddenly my branched chain keto acids are not being metabolized. It doesn't happen like that. So the patient does not have the gene that codes for the enzyme right from the birth. So branched chain keto acid will accumulate, and they will accumulate everywhere, and they will cause havoc, mainly in central nervous system. So what is the problem? If something accumulates excess in brain, there will be convulsion, severe mental retardation, vomiting, seizure, coma, death within the first year of life. It's very tragic. Yes, MSUD patients doesn't survive, right? So isn't there any treatment for that? Of course, there is some treatment. I will definitely discuss it, but it is not relevant for you first year student, right? Just know this. If MSUD happens, which is very unfortunate and it is not predictable at all, you can see the incidence is 1 per 1 lakh birth. So it is very rare, right? The child, unfortunately, baby, will die. So I have told you many times, in case of any disorder of inborn error of metabolism or protein metabolism, if you are asked to write one test for diagnosis, the answer will be tandem mass spectrometry, TMS, or MS mass spectrometer. Two mass spectrometer that are attached in tandem, MS mass spectrometry. That is the gold standard of diagnosing any inborn error of metabolism, right? And what is the treatment? Treatment is always gene therapy, because there is a problem in the gene. So treatment is gene therapy. And what is the symptomatic management? Means somehow you can pause the progress of the disease. That is by replacing traditional breast milk with formula feed, which is deficient in all these amino acid. But since these are essential amino acid, they will hamper, if you don't give these in diet, they will hamper other brain function, and that again will lead to problems. So MSUD, the prognosis, that means the outcome is very bad and it's very tragic for the parents. Anyway, so how can we diagnose that? Diagnosis, again, it's actually very easy, because you already know what to search for. That is branched chain keto acid. Since urine already contains excess branched chain keto acid, if you subject the urine to this process, that is tandem mass spectrometry. Of course, Rothera's test is positive, but Rothera's test can be positive in many things. Tandem mass spectrometry will give you exactly that these branched chain keto acids are present in urine, and that will exactly lead to the diagnosis. But will patient or relative or the mother come to you with a complaint of course, they can come to you with a complaint of these. These are very generalized complaints. These can happen in fever also, any epileptic disorder. There are 101 causes, even cerebral malaria. There are 101 causes of coma, death, etc. Right? And convulsion, vomiting. But the characteristic, the way, the name of the disease comes from one peculiar complaint that the patient has, is the urine tastes or smells like maple syrup or burnt sugar, right? This is the reason why the name of the disease is like that, maple syrup urine disease. You know, one of my students, it's a funny incident, let me share with you. I asked one of my students in Viva, why MSUD is named as MSUD, right? The student very smartly answers, sir, the urine tastes like maple syrup. Of course not, the urine doesn't taste like maple syrup. In no diagnostic test you need to taste the patient's urine, right? We don't do that. So physical properties of urine, everything is done: smell, color, consistency, specific gravity, odor, except the taste, right? Urine doesn't taste like maple syrup, okay? Urine smells like maple syrup. So that's a very funny incident that I remember. Anyway, so these are the things that I have already told you. Now let us see again. Rothera stress is positive. Even boiled and cooled urine will give the test, right? Anyway, why this is written? You see, in case of ketonuria, if you boil the urine, ketone bodies will degrade. If you boil the urine, Rothera stress will be negative even after positive test. But these branch chain ketone bodies are very stable. Even after boiling and cooling, they remain as branch chain ketone bodies and they give positive urine test, right? Again, depends on enzyme analysis. If we test the value of the branch chain keto acid decarboxylase enzyme, the value will be definitely low, right? And the diagnosis should be done prior to 1 week. If we cannot catch the disease before 1 week, it will lead to permanent brain damage, right? As I told you, in case of any protein metabolism disorder, it's a revision slide giving a diet low in branch chain amino acid. Where the culprit is, we should avoid that. So special formula feeds are available in case of MSUD. Anyway, there is a mild variant of the disease that is known as intermittent branch chain ketonuria. Means the enzyme is not fully deficient, right? Over there we can mix and match some special formula and some normal breast milk. But this slide you don't need to remember unless you are a PG student, because a lot of PG students also watches these videos for MCQ, right? And one good thing about the treatment of branch chain keto acid decarboxylase, that is maple syrup urine disease, is if we give high doses of vitamin B1, that is thiamine, patient actually responds well, because thiamine also acts as a cofactor in decarboxylation of branch chain keto acid. Okay, so just know this, high doses of thiamine do serve sometimes as a good responder in case of maple syrup urine disease. So here's a graphical overview. I have taken this from the textbook of Vasudevan. You can find it in any edition of Vasudevan. This is the normal phenomena that goes on. Branch chain amino acid are, proteins that we eat are being broken down to form branch chain amino acid, because this is essential amino acid. They help in production of glucose or ketone body and thus produce energy, which help in growth, right? But when there is a problem, that is deficiency in branch chain keto acid decarboxylase BCAA enzyme, then what happens? These branch chain amino acids and keto acid, they accumulate and they are deposited in brain and they cause a lot of problem. That is mainly acidosis and mental retardation. Why acidosis? Because branch chain keto acids are being deposited, right? And the last thing that is remaining is, you might be wondering, sir, why did you tell us to remember this FAD dependent dehydrogenation? Because it's important in case of a specific disorder of leucine catabolism, and the name of the disease is Isovaleric Aciduria. Okay, this is only and only for MCQ. Okay, you don't need to know it as a short note or anything. If you want to remember, it's very easy to remember because the symptoms and the everything is same, just like maple syrup urine disease. So what happens? Problem in brain, so metabolic acidosis and neurological deficit will be seen, mental retardation, everything. A baby will die early, there will be offensive smell in urine. So all these points are actually very similar to maple syrup urine disease. The only thing that you need to remember is it is due to problem in leucine catabolism. Okay, the name of the disease is Isovaleric Aciduria and the defect lies in the reaction 3, that is FAD dependent dehydrogenation. So that's it, students. That's all you need to know for branch chain amino acid metabolism. Maybe it seemed long, the video seemed long, but I have tried to explain everything in detail. And if you understand, if you give some time, 10 minutes or whatever the duration of the video is, 20 minutes to understand, you will never forget in life. Just remember, these are the most essential things that you need to know, and this will suffice you to get the maximum amount of marks if any question is asked from this section in your biochemistry exam. Anyways, feel free to get back to me with any queries, and please request for these type of videos what topic you need, and I'll surely get back to you with an interesting video regarding that topic very soon. I wish you very good luck for upcoming exams, and I will see you soon with another video. Till then, bye and take care.